Blessings and peace to you. This is Sbfavor Thinking Podcast, and my name is Sbfavor. How are you doing today? It is Wednesday, February 2nd, 2022. Another wonderful day and another day to be thankful. And as I always say, if you focus on what is good, then you can project something good to happen. So make sure you are managing your thought life to focus on what is good, because it does not benefit us at all to focus on the negative things. Make sure you focus on the things that give you peace and joy and love and just the things that can build you up. So that's so important. So that's why I always say focus on what is good. If you're out there traveling about, make sure you're wearing your mask and using your hand sanitizer. We are still in the middle of a pandemic, so please keep yourself safe and keep your family members safe. We all have to do our part to stay safe. If you would like to give to the podcast, you can give at Cash App $Sbfavor. Thank you so much for your support and your donations. The topic of this episode is overcoming fear. And my guest for this episode is Mia Bolden. She is a women's empowerment coach, motivational speaker, and entrepreneur. So we're just going to talk about how to overcome fear and what is it like to just conquer fear? Before we start this topic, I would like to dedicate this episode to Chesley Chris. She was Miss USA in 2019, and she recently passed away. And I just want to acknowledge who she is and who she was. She meant a lot to a lot of people. And I just want to dedicate this episode to her. And I would like to also remind people to talk to someone. If you're going through something and you need just express yourself, if you're feeling sad or depressed about something, or if you just need to talk to somebody, please talk to someone. Talk to a counselor. Ask someone to pray with you. If you need to talk to someone at the suicide prevention hotline, the number is 1-800-273-TALK. Once again, I want to remind you, if you need to talk to someone at suicide prevention, the number is 1-800-273-TALK. It's so important that we be sensitive to others. Ask people, how are they doing? And even if they say they are okay, we have to make sure that we let them know that we love them, we care about them, and most importantly, we have to pray for people. But like I said, if you need to talk to someone, make sure you talk to family members, friends, people that love you, and just be encouraged to know that God loves you as well. And I'm going to give that number out again for suicide prevention. The number is 1-800-273-TALK. Listeners, stay encouraged. And I hope that this episode will give you some insight with our special guest, Mia Bolden. Hello, Mia. How are you tonight?
I'm doing well, Miss SB. How are you tonight?
I am pressing through. Like I said to you earlier, I'm pressing through. And I'm thankful. I'm really, really thankful because we got to press through, right?
Absolutely. Just like I said, you're just having that character building week. That's all. It's just making you stronger for the next challenge that you have. That's just building up that good character of yours.
Yeah, sometimes people think that when we go through something, it's just we're going through, but it's an opportunity, right? What would you say?
Absolutely. It's an opportunity. I always say that, there's never failure. There's only kind of like that feedback. So, sometimes when we think we're going wrong, sometimes it's almost that higher power pushing you like, I need you to come over here a little bit. So you just got to see what kind of feedback you're getting out of that. But yeah, absolutely. You just got to keep moving forward.
Yes. Well, thank you so much for taking the time to just come talk to me this evening. And I want to also let you know that I support you 100%, what you're doing, your entrepreneurship and your women's empowerment coaching thing you got going on, because I see you on social media. I'm watching. When I have time, I'm watching. And so I just want you to know I support you and you are appreciated. Your work is and will not be in vain, because people need all that they can receive when it comes to all that is good. and you are empowered to do that for others. So I just want to say that to you.
Well, I really do appreciate that, and I tell people all the time, I feel like one of my purposes here on this earth is to use the skip the gab that I always say that I have to empower others and to motivate them. I always say to believe in themselves.
Yes.
That they can do anything that they put their mind or their body to. Because in my journey, I needed somebody to believe in me when I didn't believe in myself. So I know of that power of belief. And so that's why I just continue to give that. And so it just becomes that ripple effect. So hopefully I can inspire that woman, and then she can go and inspire the next one. And it just keeps going down and, on down the line. I think that's what it's all about.
Awesome. Well, our topic is overcoming fear, because sometimes fear is something that paralyzes people so that they won't keep trying or go to the next level. And we can overcome fear. So tell me about a time in your life where you knew you had to just press through something and overcome fear, because you're a powerhouse. You are a powerhouse.
Well, I really do appreciate that. Let's see, there's been so many times I've had to overcome that fear there. And I always say my favorite acronym for fear is false evidence appearing real. Because that's what it is. It's like, what's going to happen? Nobody's going to like me. I'm going to fail. It's not going to work. What if it doesn't come right? And it's all of these false evidences that we don't even know if it's going to be true, but we've just planted it in our head. So I always say, that's my acronym for fear. But I have definitely had my fair share, and I even still go through it. But as the book that's out there is called Feel the Fear and Do It Anyways, I just like you said in the beginning, push through that fear.
Yes.
But let's see, the time I would say that really challenged me, or that kind of where I really pivoted in my life, was when I was 30. I'm 41 now. So it was when I was 30, I had to make a big decision of leaving the environment that I was in, a very toxic environment. I was just getting out of a bad relationship. At that point in my life, I was at the end of just what I say, running the streets. I was doing things I wasn't supposed to be doing. I was selling drugs at the time. Everybody around me was going to jail. I was afraid, like, oh my goodness, am I going to be the next one that's going to go to jail? So definitely had that fear going behind me there. But then it was like everything was just shutting down around me. The people around me were going to jail. The money was drying up. My relationship was bad. And I was like, I've got to do something.
Right.
So I really had to push through that fear of making that phone call to my mother, which is something I didn't want to do, and actually say that I had to move, can I move home? That was a very fearful moment, because once again, what are they going to talk about me? What if she says no? What if I move down there and it doesn't work? Like, I was going through all those what ifs. But I'm happy that I pushed through, because that was one of the best decisions that I've ever made in my life, to move out of that environment, because that's what's changed my life and made me who I am now.
Would you say that having a renewed mind has helped you to overcome the fears that you have conquered, having a renewed mind?
Oh, absolutely. Mindset is everything. In the beginning, even at that point in time, that was just one of my character building moments, because I still wasn't working on my mindset, but I just knew I had to get out of that environment.
Yes.
And push through and not worry about the people judging me and all of those things. And then I did make that move. And within that, I started working on, because I had hit a really bad rut. I had hit my heaviest weight of 300 pounds. My self-esteem was low. Self-confidence was low. I was feeling like a failure. Being the oldest sibling out of my brothers and sisters. But I will tell you I just knew that was just something that I had to do, if you will, to bring me to where it is now. And I'm grateful. And that's what most people will realize. Once they push past that fear,
yes,
they'll realize it's almost one of the best decisions that they could have ever made, because the stepping outside of the comfort zone is where the true growth happens in any situation. Our mind and our body is set up to keep us safe. That's why I did have to work on that personal development and work on my mindset to help me push past fears and challenges that I have now. But absolutely, mindset is everything with that.
Yeah, I always say at the beginning of my episode, project what is good. I believe that when you focus on what is good and you focus on the things that you want to happen versus the things you don't want to happen, I just believe it helps us to have a more healthier mindset, So tell me about another time in your life where you had to do something afraid. You knew you was afraid, but you did it anyway, because that's exactly what we have to do. We have to, no matter what we feel, we have to do it anyway. Tell me about a time like that.
Well, I'll tell you my most recently, where I had a little bit of fear creeping up inside of me, was this past January. I just hosted my biggest women's empowerment event. I host women's vision board empowerment events. This is my 4th annual, but this was the biggest one that I had ever done. Because I was ready to elevate, ready to get outside of that comfort zone. I was ready for that next challenge. Mm-hmm. And so I was very blessed that I had Lisa Ray. She came in. She was my keynote speaker. I had other speakers. It was a live recording. The news, everything was out, came out for this. Mm-hmm. I did have, I need to talk to Jesus moment for that, because it's all eyes are on you. So this was, this was outside of my comfort zone. And what old Mia would have done that didn't work on the mindset, that didn't see what is possible and what pushing past that fear would have done, I would have said, no, we're not going to do this. We're going to keep it small, the way I've always done, in my comfort zone, where I know that I'm fine at. I've done it for 3 years like this. Why take it to the next level? But I've worked on my mindset, and to where I know that if you want to get to the next level, you have to push past that. I always say new level, new devil.
Wow. So
you go to that new level, those fears are going to be there. That anxiety is going to be there, but you have to learn those tools. You have to learn those tips on how to work on your mindset and those things to do to get you outside of that fear and to push through. And I've had some tips that I put in my back pocket, and I teach other ladies how to do as well. So I had to, I practice what I preach, and I had to use some of those tools on myself. Mm-hmm. And once again, it was the greatest thing that I could have ever done. Very grateful I did it. Great response back from the ladies that were inspired. Awesome. That's my why and why it is that I do. Mm-hmm. And so it was great. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. How about in the moment, when a person has a thought right in the moment, what would you say to a person what to do in that moment? Because when we have a thought, you can either agree with that thought or you can reject it. And of course, we're going to have feelings that come with it. And I would say, not focus on that feeling, but focus on something else. What would you say?
Well, some of my little tools I put in my box. One is before whatever they're feeling that anxiety or that fear about, if it's not right in the moment of them doing that, because usually you can feel a little fear before, like if you have a big event, or I got to have this conversation, or I'm about to open this business, you kind of start feeling little anxiety and little fear then. So right then, I always tell people is you want to address that. So you want to answer those questions, and I'm very big on getting it out of your head and putting it on paper. Yes. Whatever the question is, I'm afraid if nobody likes me, what if I fail? And answer those questions. Right. Because what happens is if you go in it with a plan, you're like, okay, if this one doesn't work out, I'll do it again next year. You see where I messed up here, or whatever the case may be. Because the fear, it'll cause the anxiety if you let it sit in your head, and it'll manifest, it'll fester. So that's my first thing, is to definitely getting it out of your head. As soon as you start feeling the fear, put it on paper and answer the questions. And 9 times out of 10, you'll calm yourself down and you realize, well, I really wasn't afraid of too much of nothing I can't handle, Yes. That would be my first thing. And then some of things that if you're in the moment, because there's been times when you're still in the moment and you feel that fear, and I've been on stage and had to give a speech or go out on stage, I've had that fear come to me. A couple of things that I tell people. One is tapping. I've definitely been practicing that the past couple of years, is tapping on your pressure points. Yes. And releasing, as to why you're at first I did, and I was like, that is not going to work, like, because my mindset wasn't right. So of course it goes back to the whole mindset thing. I was like, what is that about? That's not going to work. That's a bunch of BS. But once I started working on my mindset, I was like, that does work. So I do that. Another thing is, hands down, and I tell people I'm not here to preach to you, but that's right. I do believe, and you need to believe in something higher than yourself, and I believe in my man upstairs. So when I get nervous, of course, I'm straight to him. My man can give me the strength that I need, you know, because then he'll give you what it is, give me the strength to push through and do what it is, this speech, this conversation, this business opening, whatever it is. I'm definitely doing that. And then the last thing I would give to your listeners is if they can tap into the strength of others, and I even say even ancestors and people that are not there. So people that you know are strong in your life and you might look up to, Take them with you in that conversation. Come on, Grandma. Come on, Auntie Percy. Come on, walk in this room with me. Walk on this stage with me. Walk in. And just the power of that will help you push through that as well.
Awesome.
I know you might have not have asked for all those tools, but I hope that kind of helps.
No. I'm gleaning from you and just listening to what you have to say, because like I said, I think that people are dealing with different things in their life, and I just think that we need to get all we can get while we can get it when it comes to all that is good. I just believe that every single day we should just gravitate to everything that is good. And I know sometimes we have to make decisions and resolve issues and problems. But aside from doing what we do when it comes to resolving things, we have to focus on what is good. I'm just so into the renewed mind, Mia. I'm telling you, that renewed mind thing to me is so personal, because I believe that when a person doesn't renew their mind, there's no other way they can go to be transformed. And I just think that when we practice renewing our mind, then we can manifest something better and different. So tell me about relationships when it comes to the speaking life thing, that fear thing, because sometimes people will just project fear to the next person. What do you think about that? We have to be careful with things like that, right?
Oh, yes, absolutely. You definitely have to, fear is an energy as well. And as we know, energy is transferable. It does not, it's not created or destroyed. It just transfers to the next person. So if you hang around other people that are projecting fear, they don't see how it'll work. I don't think you can do that. They're going to project that on you, and that's going to go once again into your mindset. And then that's what you're going to think, it's not going to work. I don't think I can do this, da-da-da. So that goes back to, of course, and I know that we've probably already all heard it, but it's definitely watching the company that you keep and the people that you're around. I will tell you, when I move a lot, and even now, when I have things that I work on, or just in general, I tell people all the time, I know a lot of people, I really do, but I spend 85% of my time by myself. Because I have to protect my energy. I have to protect my thoughts. I'm very protective over because I'm huge on your mindset now. Over the past 7 years, I've really been working on my mindset and reprogramming my subconscious mind and reprogramming my beliefs in the way that I think. And so since I've seen the power in that, I'm very protective over it. So you absolutely, if you notice that you are hanging around people that are, just like you said, projecting fear, that all they're talking about is negative. When you see that phone rings and it brings up an energy like, ooh, I don't even want to talk to her. I don't even want to check that text message or that email. We've had that.
Yes.
Disassociate. It's okay. And I think that's another thing is people, they worry about hurting somebody's feelings and things like that. But you have to be the best version of yourself, and we all have to elevate. And sometimes it's to the point where you're going to have to end the relationship or, back away from a certain person for a period of time to work on yourself. And then maybe you can go back and talk to them, and because your mindset has changed, you're able to not take on that energy or their beliefs or, whatever they have. So,
Absolutely. And tell me about choosing confidence over fear, because we have little thoughts in our head when it comes to things concerning confidence. I believe that in that very moment, once again, in that actual moment, you said ask questions, right? And guess what? That's what we got to do. So tell me about that confidence over that fear, because we have to be confident. We have to project confidence, and we have to also esteem others to be confident. So tell me about that, choosing confidence over fear.
Well, absolutely. But I do tell people all the time that confidence is like a muscle. So, which is a good thing, I tell people. So the more you work at it, the more confidence you'll get.
Yes.
So you have to keep, you're going to, and I always use something very simple, like to where, people kind of understand is like the first time you backed out of a driveway, you was looking at your rear views, both side mirrors, you was turning your head, you was looking back and forth, you was making sure nobody was coming before you even came out that driveway. Nowadays, if you throw that car in reverse, you've done it so many times, you're out of there and gone before you even think behind it,
Mm-hmm.
And I tell people that's just the same thing with it's just like a muscle. You'll get confident in it, but you have to push through it to do it.
Yes.
And the more you do the thing, the more you'll get confident at it. Having the conversation, coaching the client, standing on stage, whatever the case may be, you just have to practice that confidence muscle. And another thing, while I'm thinking about this, I didn't mention this earlier, but a lot of people, and I've found this with women and especially minority women, is with this fear and confidence building and all of this, if you can't do it by yourself, you have to ask for help.
Yes.
And that is one of the biggest things that has helped me is I couldn't do it on my own. I had to surround myself people who believed in me because I didn't believe in myself.
Mm-hmm.
I had to ask people how do I work on my mindset? What are the steps to get these beliefs? Because I didn't know how to do it, and nobody in my circle knew how to do it. So you have to, ask for the help and things like that. So I did just want to throw that out there before that slipped my mind, because that's very important.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I believe in mentorship. It's good to have mentors and just surround yourself with like-minded people. You don't want to be around people that are speaking something contrary or what your standards are or what you want to be. Excuse me. It's very important. It's very important, like I said earlier, to have a renewed mind. And I think that when we have a renewed mind and practicing it consistently, like you said, it gets better and better. It gets easier because you become sharper. I believe that
Absolutely.
God allows us to go through things sometimes, and we're just practicing to be better, right? I don't believe that we're just going through just to go through. On this podcast, sometimes I trip over my words a little bit, and I say to people, "I'm human. I'm practicing for something better."
Yes, absolutely. I like it. I love the way you put that. Absolutely. I'm with you on that one, my friend.
Yes. So, let me ask you this. So what made you decide to become a motivational speaker? Like what part of your life where you just woke up and said, you know what, I'm going to help other people? Because everybody don't think to help other people. They just focus on themselves to help themselves, right?
Right. Well, I tell people, one thing is that this goes back to my purpose. I truly believe this was something I was meant to do because I've always been a talker. I've always just had a voice. I just wanted to talk, to lead the class, to the whole nine. So I've always had that in me. But I never knew what I was going to use it for until right around my 30s. And just like I mentioned earlier, I had hit a very bad rut in my life, very low where I was in my life.
Yeah.
And then I overcame it myself, by working on myself from the inside out. And within that process, I actually opened up a women's fitness studio. So within the women's fitness studio, I had a lot of ladies because they had heard about my journey of me, losing the weight and, being unconfident and stuff like that. And they were, how did you do that? How were you doing it? And so I would just kind of coach them on how I worked on myself and how they, mindset and everything like that, confidence. And I started doing that. So within that, I really enjoyed the fact that I could use my voice to help motivate other women and to lead, to help empower them. And at that point, I went and got certified through coaching. I got certified through ICF, the International Coaching Federation. And right then, I kind of knew that I didn't necessarily want to do one-on-one coaching. I had started working on personal development, so I started listening to speakers myself, Les Brown, Zig Ziglar, Jim Rohn, and I just loved it. It's something that clicked in me. I was like, I want to do that. I just saw myself on stage. I don't know if that I wrote a book, How to Discover Your Life's Purpose After 30, but I always say our purpose has always been in us. We're born with that. For some reason, our environment, society, life just kind of hushes that, throughout the years. But it'll creep up on you every now and again. And when I saw Les Brown and saw these speakers, it just popped. That is what I want to do. And that's how I kind of started speaking. And I literally put it on a vision board. That's what I want to do. And this kind of goes into why I'm so in love with vision boards. I put it on a vision board. I wanted to start speaking, and literally almost 3 weeks, 2.5, 3 weeks after that, I had our local women's battery shelter reach out to me and said they just heard I was motivating at my studio and they would love for me to come down and speak to their ladies. And since then, I've been very blessed to speak on many stages, been keynote speakers, spoken at Women's Success Summit, American Breast Cancer Society keynote, so that's how I kind of started, just along my journey, and my purpose and passion creeped up in me again, and then I put the vision out there, I made it clear, and my man blessed me with a speaking engagement, and here I am 5 years later.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful. I was talking to a friend of mine earlier, and he was telling me about this woman that works in his office. So he was saying she wasn't productive, and so I said to him, tell her to capitalize off of her strengths. Just capitalize off of her strengths. I mean, because he's trying to tell her how to do her job. And I know some people have different strengths and weaknesses. And I just believe that we got to work on our weaknesses, but we got to capitalize off of our strengths. And that's what you're doing, Mia. And it's a beautiful thing. I think that we all have something to give to the next person. Our gifts are not for us. Our gifts are for the next person. When God gives us gifts, He is giving us a gift to give it to the next person. And so that's what empowerment is all about. We are supposed to be connected to one another to give out our gifts. So, and that's what you're doing, Mia. You're helping people to be better, and that is full of purpose. And I just love it. Doing this podcast, when I decided to do it, I just kind of dragged my feet because I used to be afraid to speak in the public. I was one of those people that would sit in the back of the venue or the church,
Right.
Yeah. And so, and I was, I had to go overcome fear as well. I struggle with some things, but like you said, you have to take the step to just do what you know to do and have the right thoughts. But let me ask you this. What would you say to someone that is afraid to make a decision or take a step to do something they've never done before? What would you say to that person?
Well, definitely, and I'm just such a firm believer in this, is to surround yourself with somebody that believes in you until you believe in yourself.
Yes.
Like, if you're afraid to make that step, like that, because I just know the power of belief, because I needed that. I needed somebody to say, you will do this. You can do this. We are going to get through this and do it. And so either surrounding yourself with a mentor,
yes,
a coach, or even just surrounding yourself with a mastermind of other women. That's why I love my Facebook group and what it is that I do, because sometimes you need to be around other women that are rooting you on.
That's right.
That might not even, they might be even on the same journey that you're on, but they say, I see you, my friend. Like, I see you, girl, and you can do this, and you're rooting each other on. So that would be my biggest thing, because that's where I think, and it goes back to stop, if you can't do it by yourself, get around somebody that can help you get there. And that's one of the things that I think keeps a lot of people stuck, is they just say, nope, I can't do it. And they just shut down, and then they just go back to doing their same routine, and they never see what's possible for them. So you need to surround yourself with somebody that has the vision and sees what's possible. That's why I love that I coach, is because a lot of the ladies, they come to me and they're not confident at where they're at, and I can see what's possible for them, and I hold that vision for them until they see it themselves, and I help them, bring that out of them. So that, that would be my advice, to start there.
Yes, and also, listeners, you should have a daily practice of something that you do consistently. Don't start one day and then wait 5 days later to start all over again. No, when you start something, be consistent. Practice every single day to build upon the thing that you want to see, because when you become consistent, what you are pushing for and believing for, it will manifest. And lastly, Mia, I want to ask you this. Let's talk about faith over fear, which is one of my favorite ones. Faith over fear. What do you think about that when it comes to faith over fear? Because in the middle of this pandemic, stuff is still happening, and people are dealing with different levels of stress. And once again, it all starts in our thought life, and we have to be careful what we think. So what would you say, or what would you say to someone to how to practice faith over fear?
Right. Well, definitely, just like I said, I always say I'm not here to preach to anybody, but I do believe that everybody should believe in something bigger than themselves. That's just my thing. My choice is God. That's say my man upstairs. That is definitely who I believe in. But I tell people all the time is, a lot of people will say, I have the faith. I have the faith. I have faith. I have faith. And I say, well, do it. And then you back away. And I'm like, well, where is that faith that you say that you have? Mm-hmm. So when you just said earlier about you have to do things on a routine, one thing that I'm very big on is a morning routine every morning. So a part of my faith, which helps me overcome that fear, is every morning I go into prayer. Mm-hmm. Every morning I read my Bible. Every morning I go through my meditation. Now, let me back that up. Maybe not every morning, but 95% of the mornings, I definitely do that. Mm-hmm. And what happens is, once again, that muscle, that faith muscle is going to get stronger. You're going to start hearing the word more clear. You're going to receive that information. You're going to be able to walk in that faith that you talk about so much because you're practicing it on a daily basis versus I go to church on Sunday. I have the faith. Yes, Jesus is going to be okay. And then the rest of the week, you completely forgot about that. And you wonder why all this fear is there.
Yes.
You wonder why, you're not ready to move in that. It's something that you have to do. And that's why I tell people all the time, your mindset is huge. And that even faith as well, which goes into that mindset. Mindset and faith, all of that is a huge thing because a lot of people operate still off of what we can see. Mm-hmm. And that's where I'll believe it when I see it, and things. That's why you're not moving anywhere because you don't even believe it yet,
right.
And so things like that. So definitely, I would say you have to practice your faith muscle every day, just like your confidence muscle. So whether that's going into your meditation, praying to Allah, praying to God, praying to your higher power, you have to practice that so you'll be able to lead more in that faith when that fear does hit and you have that higher power or that faith to walk into, if that makes sense.
Yes, absolutely. And speak life over situations and circumstances. Don't speak the report that matches fear. Speak life over, speak faith over what you desire to happen, what you believe that's going to happen, or what you believe in. Speak life over it. Affirmations of what you believe about yourself and what you believe about your family and your children and what you want your life to be. Speak life. Don't speak the report that what happened years ago in the family. Don't speak that report. Speak the report of what you want to see different. Because I'm a firm believer in that, Mia, when it comes to what we speak. I just believe that it's so much power in the tongue. When you say something out of your mouth, you're just giving power to it. Sometimes people, they speak according to norms, and I just don't believe that's not cool at all. I'm not with that. I'm not with it.
Absolutely. I'm definitely with you on that. I always say life and death is in the power of the tongue. And I always say your words are like seeds.
Yes.
And you will reap whatever it is that you sow. Mm-hmm. So once again, and I always say everything goes back to the mindset. Yes. Because if your mindset is not right, you don't even see that how, your words are not affecting what it is that you do. Mm-hmm. But when you start changing your mindset, not only do you change the words that's coming out of your mouth, the conversations change. What you want to, even the other people's words, if those conversations aren't good, you don't even want to be around them.
Yes.
So definitely you want to watch what you say and what information that you're taking in as well. And I just wanted to kind of back it up to that faith for just 2 seconds, but also a point I wanted to make that once your listeners and all of us, once we get stronger in our faith, not only will it help us push through to do the thing, but we'll also have that faith to say, if it doesn't go the way we think it should,
yes,
your faith is telling you that wasn't for you. So it makes it a lot easier because you're like, there's a reason. And that's what I go back to now. I'm like, there's a reason this isn't working out versus why is this not working out? This is it. It's like, no, I have this faith that my man upstairs is telling me, nope, that's not what I have for you. I'm trying to direct you over here.
Yes.
And it helps you start walking in your path, and you'll start listening to your intuition more.
Yes.
You'll start listening to that faith and to that higher power telling you to go in a different direction. Mm-hmm. So absolutely, I just wanted to throw that out there. Sometimes faith isn't just even push through. Faith is to say, okay, that's not for you. I need you to go somewhere else over here to do that. But yeah, I'm definitely very big on the words that you say out of your mouth and the words that you that you listen to, because you will reap that. And I'm big on that as well. I say it's in the Bible.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, I believe that we have to protect our eye gate and our ear gate, taking in information that will build us up. If you're taking in information that is not edifying or not encouraging or motivating, ask yourself the question, why? We have to take in information, eye gate and ear gate, that will build us up, because I believe, Mia, that that's a form of eating. You're eating. You are taking in information. It's going to sit in your spirit somewhere. So I believe that we should always consider, what are we taking in? Now, I'm not saying, walk around like a robot and try to be perfect about everything that you do, but let's be realistic. There's some things we should not be listening to. There's some things we should not be watching. And I say watching, I'm talking about just things that's not good for your spirit. If you know that you're not built up in a certain area, why are you watching that? Why are you listening to that? I think that we all have stronger and weaker muscles. As you said, Mia, you talked about muscle. And I believe that when you take in information that's going to build you up, to give you more faith over fear, then guess what? You're going to get better and better. You're going to be stronger and stronger. And if you're one of those people that have some issues in that area of fear, you need to take in information that's going to build your faith. Take in information that's going to build your confidence. And so, Mia, I just thank you so much for everything that you shared. And I just want to talk about real quick before we conclude. I wanted to talk about, what is her name? Chesley Curse. The young woman from New York that passed away a couple days ago. In the beginning of the episode, I mentioned to people that they could call the 1-800-273-TALK, which is a suicide prevention phone number. People are going through some things, Mia, and we just need to be more sensitive. And I was having a conversation with a friend of mine earlier, and I was saying that sometimes we just need to have some level of discernment to understand what people are going through. And that takes being engaged in the moment to just listen and watch them. What do you think about that?
Absolutely. I did see that, the news report of that young lady, and definitely prayers for her family there. Because suicide is a real thing, and it's definitely picked up over the past couple of years just with everything that's going on. So I always encourage people all the time, and it goes back to talking about it. So if you're out there and you feel like you can't talk, you're going through something, I definitely say, talk about it. Don't hold that to yourself. And that's one thing, you never know what that next person is going through. So that's another thing on the outside looking in, is we definitely need to be more sensitive to other people and their feelings and what it is that they're going through. Definitely checking on them. But I do wish that more people would be okay with talking. That's one thing I always say. Sometimes I feel that was programmed, because we're programmed, once again, from when we were little, by the environments and where we're in. And a lot of households are like, you don't say what's going on in this household. You don't tell our business what goes on here. So they start saying that. And then it goes on as an adult, that when we're going through something, I can't tell anybody what's going on, And so we should really break that stigma and be willing to open up and to know that it's okay. I always say the shame will shrink when it's shared out loud. So if there's anything that you're embarrassed about, you're shameful about, you want to talk about, if you just share it, it'll shrink sometimes, just to get that off of your chest, just to get that anxiety. So definitely, if anybody's going through anything, to feel free, to open up to somebody. And then for the person on the outside, just us as human beings, we need to be more sensitive and more aware of what the next person, might be going through, because you never know what, on the outside looking in.
Yes, absolutely. And pay attention. Don't be distracted by being on your phone when you are around family members and friends. Right. Sometimes you just have to just pay attention, because I believe, Mia, that God is always speaking to us in our spirit in some kind of way. He may not be screaming out loud, but sometimes he is speaking to us to just simply pay attention. So
absolutely.
Yeah. So I thank you so much, beautiful, for just taking the time out to chat with me. And in the future, I want to have you back again. I don't want you to be a stranger, because I support you. I want you to know that.
Well, I really do appreciate it. Thank you so much for having me on your podcast. And I will definitely not be a stranger. And just like I said, whenever you want me back, I'm always down to use this gift of gab to help empower others. So I'm all for it.
Awesome. So listeners, I thank you so much for listening to another episode of Sbfavor Thinking Podcast. If you need to reach me, you can reach me at sbfavor@yahoo.com via email. You can also find me on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at sbfavor. I also have a TikTok handle at sbfavor, and you can subscribe to the podcast wherever you listen to podcasts. Subscribe to my YouTube channel too. Please click the bell so that you can receive a notification each time there's a new episode of Sbfavor Thinking Podcast. And guess what? If you subscribe to Apple, Spotify, Google Podcasts, you will receive a notification there too. So subscribe to the podcast and make sure you share the podcast with others. And if you would like to donate to the podcast, you can donate at Cash App $SBFavor. Listeners, thank you so much for your support and thank you for tuning in. You have a good day. And Mia, I thank you again for taking the time to talk.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Ms. SB.
All right, listeners, you have a good day.